I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another night of iRacing action here on the National Racing Network, where tonight it will be the stars and cars of the Indy Pro 2000 Championship and the USF2000 Championship coming to you from Okayama International Circuit here over in Japan. My name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming out to hang out with us here this evening. Joined in the booth, as always, by Mr. Patrick Byrne and James Watson. And James, let's come to you first here. 24 cars registered in this one, so we're going to have a couple of really good splits. But I'll tell you what, this top split race is going to be fantastic here this evening.
Yep, just wait for the stream to pop up here. Yeah, this track always likes to put up some really good racing. Curious to see how this is going to go. It hasn't been that long since we've been here, so curious to see how this one goes.
Yeah, quite frankly, I'm looking forward to seeing this one as well here. We'll get the intro screen up for you so everybody can see where the heck we are and what we're doing here this evening. And now, Patrick, we covered last night the absolute, well, for us, it was a dumpster fire of a race with the Sim Racers Club, because quite frankly, we just weren't, we were in all sorts of issues here. I think everything's back to normal tonight. Are you glad to not having to be pushing buttons and all the other crap that goes along with that?
Yeah, this is excellent. I much prefer sitting here in the back seat. I'm able to drink a beer and watch the racing and enjoy what's going on instead of sitting here hitting all the crazy buttons. I don't know how you do it, man, but my mind was going a million miles per hour trying to keep up with the action, hit the buttons, change the cameras, what's going on. It's kind of crazy. Yeah,
quite frankly, there is a ton that is going on here when we're doing one of these shows. It gives kind of everybody a peek behind the curtains a little bit, though, when we get to have our own kind of nights of screwing up here and everything else. But qualifications are on the racetrack. Ted Burns going to be your quick timer, making his first appearance since spending what seemed like an eternity down there at Sebring. Now David Porcelli going to move to the top of the charts. Let's pick up a look at Porcelli's machine. Porcelli's going to be quickest overall, followed by Everett Paddock, only 91 thousandths of a second back. Quarter of a second back of the pole time, provisional pole time, will be the number 5 of Nagisa Yoshikawa. Ted Burns down to 4th. Brian Labarge holding on to the 5th position. We've seen a lot of really good stuff, James, out of Brian Labarge. His development, we've talked a little bit about Ben Carswell this way too, but his development has been absolutely fantastic to see what Brian Labarge has been able to do.
Oh. Yeah, I've been super impressed by Brian. It's been cool to see him just get faster and faster as the weeks go on.
Let's pull up our super source and merge this one in for you. Oh, as Labarge, we talk about him, the commentator's curse. He goes for a spin. Going back on...
You started it. It's not my fault.
That is...
You can't put that on me.
That is absolutely the fault of one James Watson.
No, you started it. You
James
mentioned
Watson,
first.
Ted.
Yep, you stopped that. Hush up. Not my fault.
The 12 of Tyler Maccabee going around as David Porcelli goes new quick time just a tick over 97 miles per hour. Looks like Porcelli is going to be your pole sitter here, but let's see who else has a lap that they can get in the books here. Let's pick up...
What's that in the 12 with that beautiful Tony Kanaan livery?
In the 12 is Tyler Maccabee. There we go. Let's see. Getting our... We're still getting all the buttons pushed and stuff here. Let's see. Still out on the racetrack will be Darren Fahey. Let's pick him up in car number 8. Let's see, Fahey just completing his run. Looks like Ryan Hammond still on the racetrack here. He will be coming down to complete his qualification attempt.
Looks like the Jordan colors on that thing.
No, that's a Ryan Hunter Ray livery there.
Yes, a D8. At least I think it is.
The plain yellow.
Oh, it's Snap-on the side.
Yeah, but it's like a yellow with the red side pods kind of deal. Very kind of just plain livery there for Ryan Hammond.
Now, are we running the full version of Okayama tonight, or is it just the short circuit tonight?
Nope, it is the full GP version. And the only reason I can tell you that authoritatively is because it's the only version of Okayama that we have cameras for.
Well, that's pretty good reason.
Yeah, it just makes a little bit of sense here. Down to just about 1 minute remaining in the qualification session. Ryan Hammond will come across the start-finish line, and that will be it for qualifications. David Porcelli will be your pole sitter here this evening.
I absolutely love this track in open-wheel cars. A lot of drivers tonight complaining that they maybe not feeling the track, not enjoying it as much as they should, but I've run a couple F1 races here in the old Williams that we have on iRacing, kind of the cars that this track was designed for, and it's just a blast. Super, super fast track, banking in the corners. It's everything you want in a road course.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there, Patrick. And before we get too far into this, let's take a look at the starting grid for tonight's race. And how about it? A new livery on the number 1 of Ted Burns. But first, David Porcelli, your quick timer. 1 minute 23.873 seconds, 97.347 miles per hour. Almost a quarter of a second back. The white downforce racing entry of Teddy B. That car looks spectacular. I am looking forward to see that one running a little bit more here this season. Row number 2 for tonight will have Everett Paddock lining up alongside Nagisa Yoshikawa. Row number 3, the law firm, Alexander Wesley Hazelworth, lining up next to Ryan Hammond. That was a good lap there at the end for Hammond, right there at the buzzer, putting that car on the outside of row number 3. Row 4 will have the Target Chip Ganassi Lightning Bolt colors of Richard Holt, lining up next to Brian Labarge, starting in the 8th position here this evening. Row number 5 will have Antonio Abram in the Sakura Anime, I hope she's not naked, on the side of that paint scheme, lining up alongside the number 9 of Rod Eskew. That will be your 5th row on the grid here this evening. Row number 6 is going to be Mike Collar, lining up alongside Darren Fahey, and all alone on the final row will be the number 12 of Tyler Maccabee. Pick up your front row here. What do we think we're going to see out of these guys here tonight, Patrick? Are they going to be absolutely insane the entire time, or do you think they have to play nice for a little bit? I mean, this race is 18 laps long.
I have a feeling it's going to be a dogfight the whole way through. This track, being how fast it is, how long the straightaways are, it's going to be a draft lock race.
Wow, great jump for Porcelli off the final corner. As always, race fans, the start of this one, going to be all yours. Oh man, your top two are not screwing around. I'll tell you what. Porcelli and Burns are long gone. The best battle might be the one for the third position, though. Let's take a look here and bring you up the super source, because here's your race leaders still battling. What a move outside by Teddy B. Can he hold the spot inside down to the switchback? Oh man, that's where we had contact last season, James, I think on the white flag lap, no?
I don't think so. Oh god, they're so close. This is a heck of a scrap already.
Yeah, and they're bringing Everett Paddock and the rest of the field back into play, too.
You can see just how long that back straightaway is, and once Porcelli and Ted Burns got side by side, that pack behind them just caught right up because they were no longer draft distance to each other.
Yeah, I think that's something that we're really going to see this play out over the course of this race here. Is if these two can stay nose to tail, they're going to pull away from Everett Paddock. I mean, you can see the ticker at the top of your screen. It's constantly increasing in that gap. If they start battling, though, you're just giving up 10th after 10th after 10th. And, James, before you know it, it's not Everett Paddock that's catching up. It's Hazelworth, Yoshikawa, Holt, Hammond. Now, all of a sudden, it's not a 2 or 3 car race. It's a 7 or 8 car race for the win.
Yeah, and that's what we want to see. We usually don't get to see huge field-long battles, but if they keep battling like this, we just might.
I'm here for it. Man, good battle. Way at the back of the pack. That's going to be Darren Fahey and Tyler Maccabee. Those guys are trading the 12th and 13th position. Last 2 slots on the grid. But my goodness, has that one been pretty interesting to watch here. Also need to get, there we go.
Especially in iRacing, sometimes some of the best battles on the grid are towards the back of the field. It's not like a Rear World Series like NASCAR or IndyCar where some of those lower tier teams that are at the back of the grid, they don't want to spend the money on fixing the race car, so they're not going to race it hard, they're not going to wreck them. Here in iRacing, you don't have to worry about that. You have no money to spend if you wreck the race car, you hit the reset button, go at it tomorrow. So these guys have no incentive not to battle at the back of the pack, and sometimes it gets really heated. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the battle at the back here that we're following in the bottom right is good. David Porcelli, bold move on Ted Burns to take the lead back. Those two will trade the position. You almost wonder, though, James, at some point, does the swap draft possibly come into play here for these two to open up a gap? Obviously, they're not in Discord. They can't communicate that other than to tell everybody else over the sim, but it still is a possibility.
I've never seen the swap draft work that effectively. It seems like it works, but it just kind of evens out. Like, it doesn't end up being the advantage like you hope it'd be. Like, I'm willing to bet that if they start doing it, they're just gonna not catch up faster, but it's not really gonna help them out.
Yeah, the only place I've seen the swap draft work is a place like iRacing Super Speedway in the real fast stuff, where you kind of get the run going down the straightaway, slingshot them into the corner, and then do the same thing lap after lap, straightaway after straightaway. Anywhere else doesn't really work.
Carl Lemcool checking in. Go Team DFR, the white and gold champ livery looking good. Yeah, I will agree with that one here. Hold on, we got to pick this battle up though towards the back. Brian Labarge and Antonio Abram going absolutely ballistic. We'll put the leaders here up in the little box down in the corner because quite frankly they're behaving themselves and pulling out away from Everett Paddock. We've seen this discussion, in fact we've had it already this season, James. Everett feels like he's just down on outright pace compared to the leaders. He'll take the spots when they give them up to him, but it's odd to be talking about a guy like Everett Paddock and saying he's potentially not 100% there on pace because the dude's an absolute alien.
Oh, there's contact!
Contact Labarge off the racetrack. That's not what Brian Labarge wanted to see. It's not a way to get to the moon.
Well, if you want to get to the moon, you should probably build a spaceship and not an open-wheel race car.
Or just queue up some old Blue Eyes. Fly me to the moon, baby. Sorry, that was too new of a reference for the children in the booth with me.
I got the reference, don't worry.
Yes. I smirk.
I'm from New York.
New York's such a wonderful place that they actually want to call Ohio home instead of New York.
Yes, that's me. Where are you from, Cleveland?
Maybe that should be the slogan. At least we're not New York.
No, Cleveland's slogan is at least we're not Detroit. New York's slogan is also at least we're not Detroit. And Toledo, Ohio's slogan is we might as well be Detroit.
Paddock a little bit squirrely there down towards the bottom right. That kind of stacked everybody up a little bit. Opened the gap up though. It's now sitting at about a half second or so back to Alexander Wesley Hazelworth. Hazelworth, another of the downforce racing cars. As David Porcelli again goes fastest lap. In fact, that's not far off of his pole time for this race. Let's bring those race leaders back up here in the lower right because, quite frankly, at this point, James, everybody is nose to tail. This is kind of what we figured we would see, at least in the early part of this race. You want to try to build the gaps where you can, so when you have to race later on, it's not as much of a dogfight with 5 or 6 cars.
Pretty much, yeah. I'm just kind of surprised it took so long to get to this point in the race.
The other interesting one is we, again, not seeing Carter Lundy running the C-Class cars this season. He has run all of the D-Class races, but I think that's a little bit of saying, hey, I'm going to commit to some other cars on the platform. Oh, big twitch! Save it! That was Tyler Maccabee. He's not going to hit anything and stay on the racetrack. That's not easy to do in these cars.
Yeah, these cars are not friendly at all to getting sideways. These things want to kill you anytime you take it just 1 foot out of line.
Following along here, picking up Richard Holt and Ryan Hammond. These guys are about a half second apart as we have Everett Paddock, Alexander Wesley Hazelworth, and Nagisa Yoshikawa. The battle in the big box is 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Leaders starting to get a little bit closer together. I am excited to see when these guys decide to really start racing. Wow, may have been a little bit of a moment there for David Porcelli. That car kind of got a little bit squirrely, and that allowed Ted Burns to get right back up underneath, but Ted has to back off. James, I'm going to come back to you for this one again, because this is kind of a setups question, and you can plug TeamWatsonRacingSetups.com or TeamWatsonRacing.com. When you're talking about setting up a car for a place like Okayama, I would imagine there's a fairly sizable trade-off between too much downforce that you're slow on the straightaways but quick in the corners versus taking that downforce off and you're going to give up some time in the corners.
Yeah, you gotta find the good balance of it. You gotta find how to maximize downforce through the second and third sector while being able to have top speed on the long straightaways. So you don't really have as many straightaways to worry about as you do a lot of the other tracks that we deal with on the schedule. So you can kind of be a little more risky and put a little extra downforce in for the corners. But you don't really have a whole lot of good passing zone in the sections where you need the downforce. So then it becomes, do you want to take the downforce off to have an advantage on the straightaways, because that's kind of the only passing. Oh!
Contact! That was a Bizzle. We talked about this last night. That was the 0X. Hey, I'm here. Although maybe not.
I'm here, given the chrome bumper, and get the hell out of my way.
Well, yeah, it was the Teddy Christopher, the legendary modified pancake modified driver out of the Northeast. He had it was the Teddy Christopher rule. The first bump said, "I'm here." The second bump said, "You better get out of the way." The third bump wasn't so much a bump as it was, "I'm putting you in the fence." Now that this gap is over 0.8 of a second, could Ted Burns be out of draft range and he has to do something crazy to get back into it?
Not only does he have to do something crazy, his bumps reset. The first bump only says, "I'm here again." You can't knock on someone's door and run away. He's basically ding-dong ditching him.
Yes. I haven't heard that expression in a decade or two, but yeah, that's exactly what happened. Down to 10 laps to go. It'll be cross flags next time by the start-finish line. That will be 9 laps complete and 9 laps to go. Ryan Hammond. Go ahead.
I was just about to say, how do you have kids and you haven't taught them how to ding-dong ditch? But I forgot that everyone has a Ring camera now, and if you go and do it, you'll be posted up on the Facebook page for the town.
That is
so
correct.
Never mind. Don't teach them that.
Yeah. Let's take a look here. Well, okay. I guess we don't have any audio from our main iRacing cams here, but let's pull up the side-by-side box here and get you the instant replay. Oh man, as Teddy B goes new quick lap. This is Ryan Hammond picking up a spot on Richard Holt. Holt slides a little wide, has a little twitch, and that's the mistake. I mean, it's 6 inches, James. That's literally the difference in giving up those 3 or 4 tenths and losing yourself a spot.
Yeah, like, it doesn't seem like a whole lot, but 6 inches is a lot for some people, so you really got to be careful with that.
We are in proper form tonight. I don't know about you guys. I am just absolutely punchy at this point. And we still have a USF2000 race to go as well. Patrick, let's see. We'll do the. I'll ask the question, then we'll do the announcement. Are you going to be handling the Camel GT show tomorrow afternoon?
I am not sure. That is going to be a last-minute call. I am scheduled to work at my day job until 5 p.m. But if I can get away a little bit early, I can be back home in time to get the show up on the air.
So there you go. Tomorrow is a maybe for the Camel GT show. I will be in Naples, Florida by that point to work pit reporting duties for MAV TV on the Budweiser Classic Swamp Buggy Championships. 75th year of swamp buggy racing in Naples, Florida. I grew up watching that on the TNT Cavalcade of, or TNN Cavalcade of Sports or whatever it was. I mean, those races, Brock Yates served as a pit reporter for those races. And somehow a bonehead like me is going to get to follow in his footsteps.
Hey, after you do that, we should continue to follow in Brock Yates' footsteps and go into a cannonball run.
That's something I could get behind. We would have to do it TNT style, though. And I don't know how you necessarily do that.
Do the 24 hours of lemons rule. We have to stop at every Waffle House on the way, and we get 1 bonus point for every waffle we buy from Waffle House. But it has to be from a different one each time.
That sounds absolutely gut-busting.
No, we don't have to eat them. You just have to save the receipts.
Oh, spinner contact. That's going to be Tyler Maccabee into the fence. Unfortunately, that will be night over for car number 12. He's going to back it up and get it back out onto the racetrack. But
and unfortunately, 7-Eleven does not sell PM18 parts last I checked. However, 7-Eleven is huge here in Japan. They have a much wider selection. It's almost like a grocery store over there. So they might have PM18 parts on the shelf.
Possibly. You could at least find some duct tape and maybe some zip ties or something. You'll be able to find something to put that car back together. Or just like really pasty ramen, and it'll just turn into glue after a minute or two.
Yeah, like those TikTok videos where they just put the ramen on it and it's all of a sudden they plaster over it and it's mint.
Yeah. It's mint.
It's actually beef flavored, but
the other thing about ramen, the instant types of ramen over there, they eat some weird shit, man.
Yes, they do.
I eat a lot of it.
I'm a ramen aficionado. I'm a ramen aficionado, not necessarily. Patrick, you're the guy that likes gas station sushi.
No. If I get sushi, it's actually good sushi. I lived on Long Island for too long with access to wonderful, delicious, fresh seafood, even though no sushi fish is actually fresh. But, yeah, no, I've been spoiled with that. Can't bring myself down to gas station sushi. If any of you at home enjoy gas station sushi, I hope you have a wonderful doctor.
So we're following first and second on the big box, 3, 4, 5 on box number 2. Let's slide back a little bit. Pick up this fight between Mike Holler and Rod Eskew. Oh man, Ted Burns is right there too.
Almost a bump. Hey, speaking of ramen, we never went over what the extra prize was for the Bizzle Bowl 200 in the SRC series.
That's right. We didn't tell those guys about that.
We did not. The winner of that race will be getting... Actually, I have a $25 Amazon gift card I got for Christmas, so they will be getting that, except I'm going to buy ramen and ship it to their house. They don't decide what flavor they get or anything. I'm just picking random ramen on Amazon, and it's getting shipped to them. And hopefully they enjoy it.
Yeah. Everybody likes soup. We're used to alphabet soup in the chili bowl. Maybe not so much in the shipping ramen to random people variety, but it works. All right, so we're
gonna be fine.
We're down to 5 laps to go here, and Ted Burns has twice been up under the rear attenuator of David Porcelli. Now here comes the big draft and the move down to the inside. Burns wants it, slides a little bit wide. That's going to force Porcelli out, and no chance for the crossover. That was about as perfectly executed as you could possibly see.
Yeah, and that section of track is huge for the crossover. It's the big sweeping right-hander right into the big sweeping left-hander. So you have the perfect opportunity. If you're caught out on the outside in one, you're on the inside for the other one. It's real easy to get a move done there, but you block it off just like Ted Burns did, there's nothing you can do about it. It was flawless.
Now, we kind of have to think a little bit here about the possible championship implications. I know that may be a little bit early to go full Rick Allen here, but you do have to think Ted Burns has already used most or all of his drop weeks. Now that he's into the real world racing season, all that's really happening is taking points away from the guys who could be running for a championship. James, it's not necessarily can he win it, but who's he going to spoil it for?
Yeah, I'm interested. Like, I don't know. It depends on how many more races that Ted is going to miss. Like, you never know. He might be able to slide into a race here and there and still be a threat for the championship. Like, we've seen enough to him to where I'm not really counting him out until like there's a couple weeks left to go. But
he's not out until he's mathematically out.
Precisely. And at this point in the season, it's hard to say how much of a spoiler he's going to be, if he's going to be a spoiler. Like, we can't tell or know for sure if these points that he takes from David, if David isn't able to get back by, it's hard to say how they'll really factor in until we get to the last couple weeks of the season and go, oh hey, that win really mattered.
Yeah, because I'm going through the iRacing official championship standings here. I tell you what, I'm kind of surprised. Actually, James, at least, I mean, my eyes could be lying to me here, but you're ahead of Ted Burns in the points at this point. I believe Ted only has 1 week counted.
I mean, technically so do I, but wow, that's something you don't see every day. Take a picture and they'll never believe it. This is the biggest accomplishment of my life. I'm ahead of Ted Burns in something. Hooray.
This is like when I hop into a session on iRacing and I take the first qualifying time and then I take a picture and go, look, I'm the pole sitter.
Pretty much.
That is exactly right. Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to see. I don't see Ted Burns' name on the point standings here. Not in the top 50. I mean, this could be the first start of the season for Ted Burns. I thought he had a start in week 1, though. But I could be mistaken. But now, down to 2 laps to go here at Okayama. And the gap between your leaders is sitting right about 0.3 of a second. Everett Paddock, 5.6 seconds back. So we'll have first and second on the big box, and everybody, well, 3, 4, 5 anyway, on the box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. We'll follow the podium battles as Porcelli having to look to the outside. This is going to be gutsy. He's got to try to pinch Ted down and just not able to do it. That's one of those things where you kind of know, and Ted has said this to us. Oh, man, we got a great battle here. Let's flip these boxes around here. The battle for third is now up on the big box, as that's going to be Hazelworth versus Paddock. Oh, they're so close to net code. Man, Yoshikawa has an absolutely fantastic view of that as well. White flag is out. 1 lap to go. Hazelworth tries to shove him wide. Here's Yoshikawa.
Oh!
3 wide to turn number 1.
What a move. What a move by Yosh. Can he steal a podium?
Only able to grab one here, though. And he needs to get two. A big bobble for David Porcelli. He has back to now 1.4 seconds in climbing behind Ted Burns.
Let's see how good of a run. Oh, I don't think Yosh is getting the run he needs.
But this is a real long straightaway. You can see he's got the draft.
Let's see. He's not really as lick the stamp and send it type, but I wanted to see a dive bomb.
Oh man, this race has been absolutely intense. Yoshikawa took a little bit of a peek.
Nothing gonna come from it though. One last corner to go. No, there's a couple more.
Down the final front straightaway, checkered flag in the air. Ted Burns gets the win at Okayama. David Porcelli going to come home second. The run down the front straightaway, third tonight, will belong to Everett Paddock. Drivers in cars number 1, 2, and 3 will finish in positions 1, 2, and 3. Let's show it up here. Ted Burns, your U.S. Open Wheel C-Class Indy Pro 2000 race winner here tonight. There you go. Getting on the victory donuts early here. Oh, man, that gold is stunning on that car. Champion's white livery on that machine for Ted Burns. He's going to clear himself out, and, well, we're going to get ready for the victory lane interviews here. Let's take a look. All right, let's get ready for our victory lane interviews here, and let's pick up. Well, we've got our second place finisher in the booth, so we'll bring him up, and we will talk first to Mr. David Porcelli.
On there.
David, congratulations. Man, I'll tell you what, that was a great race we saw between you and Ted. The two fastest guys were out front by a long way. Ultimately, though, talk us through what happened on that, I guess, next to last lap, because we were watching you guys, we cut away to a battle, and all of a sudden it was like 1.2, 1.3 seconds separating you two.
Yeah, I just pushed a little bit too hard through turn 1, trying to get under Ted, and got loose. So decided to collect the car and just take the P2.
I'll tell you what, those battles have to be a ton of fun, especially getting to see Ted back in the show since Carter Lundy is not doing a ton of racing here. It's going to kind of starting to feel like it could be a two-man show between you two on those nights that Ted's able to show up and run these things.
Yeah, we'll see. It's still really early on in the season. I know that Ted said that he was going to be bowing out for just the first couple of weeks, so I should expect to see him quite regularly throughout the rest of the season. Not sure what's going on with Carter, but I'm sure he'll make a few appearances throughout the season. So, yeah, just as always, trying to keep my nose clean and keep it nice and consistent. A lot of championships can be won with P2s, so happy to take it home.
Absolutely. That's a great point. The consistency is what matters there. And especially in this series, you've got to be in those top 2 spots if you want a shot at the title. So congratulations on the podium here tonight. And before we let you go, do all those big sponsor plugs and thank yous.
Shout out to Racecraft One Indianapolis. Thanks to Team Watson Racing and Satellite Racing as always. Hi to the family. Thanks to National Racing Network for putting on a killer double broadcast. And I hope to see you in the booth in about, 45 minutes or so.
Yeah, sounds good, buddy. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming to check in with us. Let's bring in our third place finisher now, Everett Paddock. And I'll tell you what, Everett, you went from kind of being able to hold everybody off to an absolute hornet's nest with a couple of laps to go there.
Yeah, well, when you go side by side, it tends to bring people to you. So I saw it coming, and I was like, let's have a little fun. And I'm not big into blocking, so it was all good. Hats off to Alexander and Nagisa. Both of them raced super clean. It's really fun when you can race wheel to wheel with people like that.
Yeah, that's it's kind of always what you're looking for. And I'll tell you what, being able to come home third instead of fourth is going to be pretty big in this championship battle, too. You entered the night with 125 points over Brian Labarge. With David and now Ted being back running the series a bunch, that number is going to close in an absolute ton here over the next couple of weeks, though.
Oh, nope. I think I got the championship locked up here in week 3. Nah, come on. Those guys are going to score a lot of points. Yeah, it's going to, big points tonight. It's going to change. That 100 points was after a race earlier this week, so that'll close up a lot.
Oh, man, that's absolutely fantastic. That puts a big fat smile on my face to just deadpan here. Nah, screw them. They don't get a shot. We'll see if we're talking to you that way after Week 12. But, Everett, congratulations on the podium here tonight. And before we let you go, do all your sponsor plugs and thank yous.
Yeah. Thanks for the broadcast tonight. I want to shout out to Nagisa and Alexander. Those guys, that was a hard-fought race. Those guys raced well. Thanks to my TNT and DFR friends. Have a great weekend, everyone.
All right, thanks, buddy. We appreciate you coming to check in and hang out with us here for a minute or two. And now let's bring up our race winner tonight, Mr. Ted Burns. And, man, I'll tell you what, outside of the final lap, which you had a little bit of a decent gap on David, you really didn't have a lot of time to breathe other than that final lap.
No, definitely did not. That was an intense race, and definitely sweating, breathing a little bit hard because it's a physical track. Even down that back straight, you don't have a whole lot of time to rest. So, yeah, just being that close to him all race, it just really got the nerves going, and it made a really intense race. So it was a lot of fun to drive.
Talk us through a little bit. The setup is always big in these cars and the work that goes into them. How do you guys work through that process during the week? I know you're crazy busy with the real world stuff now. So are you kind of hopping in and taking some pointers, or is there a lot of development work that's coming from your side into these setups as well?
Yeah, for sure. And I think especially just being so close to the race last season, we were able to roll out with a great starting point just with last season's setup. And then, whenever I'm able to get on, do a couple laps here or there, the rest of the team, we're all just kind of working together, perfecting the setup and, making little changes here or there. But it really helps, at least when iRacing doesn't change a whole lot, so we can roll out with, a really good known good baseline and, just puts us that little bit farther ahead for the week. So yeah, we just had a couple minor little changes from last season, and it just felt good out of the box, and so I knew we could be competitive and really drive it this week.
Well, congratulations on the race win, brother. That one was a hell of a show you guys put on, and we appreciate it. Before we let you go, by the way, do all the big sponsor plugs and thank yous as well.
Yeah, of course. I got to thank Downforce Racing and especially Carl for making this awesome all-white championship livery. Happy to finally be back out here racing with you guys and everyone else in the series. So thanks for putting on a great broadcast and everyone for coming out and making this such a fun series to race.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming to spend just a few minutes here hanging out with us. And before we get to head off to the commercials here, gents, man, I'll tell you what, Patrick, we'll come to you first. We saw some contact. We saw 2 of the 3 Teddy Christopher shoves. And ultimately, the guy that was given those shoves was the one who went to victory lane.
Yeah, was this a NASCAR race?
And
I could have sworn I saw open wheel cars in this track, and they were racing like they were stock cars.
Yeah, to think we only thought we could only do bump and runs with this car on Gateway.
Well, and iRacing Super Speedway.
Yes.
But apparently you could do it on road course, too.
Yeah, apparently we're going to find out how much we can do it here in this next one, because I have a hunch that this USF2000 race could be even crazier, because you just don't have the horsepower to pull away like we saw Ted and David do. these cars are going to be almost completely draft locked together in that one.
Yeah, the draft lock makes these races really, really interesting too, because you really have to be gutsy to go out there and try and make a crazy move. Otherwise, you're just going to be stuck where you are, or you're going to get freight trained or hung out to dry. So it makes it really, really fun.
All right, everybody. Well, that's going to wrap up the coverage here of the Indy Pro 2000 Championship from Okayama International Circuit. But don't go anywhere, because after a short break, we will be right back with coverage of the USF2000 Championship right here from Okayama. So don't go anywhere. You're watching the US Open Wheel Doubleheader right here on
you're so sad? You've got a roof over your head.
Bro, you gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's a white people thing.
Escúchame, en esta casa los hombres no lloran.
You alright?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
Thanks for hearing me out, bro. Appreciate it.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad. Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Once again, welcome back, everybody. More National Racing Network live coverage of the USF2000 Championship coming to your U.S. Open Wheel D-Class Racing, depending on which language you feel like speaking here this evening. Coming to you once again from Okayama. My name is Chris Graham, joined in the booth by Misters James Watson and Patrick Byrne. And I'll tell you what here, boys, the last race was good. I think this one has the potential to be better, quite frankly.
I agree. You know, we saw an absolute barn burner against two of the titans of the series, and I think we'll see the same again. You know, these cars are a little slower, so they'll be packed up a tad more. So yeah, I think we'll see another good race with some names that we're not usually used to seeing up in here.
Well, that's a great point, James. The strength of field on this one, Patrick, is only in the ballpark of like 2,900, which is really out of the ordinary for what we've seen here the last couple of seasons. But that also means you're going to have a chance for some guys to shine that might not ordinarily be guys we're used to seeing at the front.
Yeah, this track definitely difficult to get around, but if you put in the work, put in practice, especially in a fixed series like this, where you don't have to worry about changing the setup, going crazy like that, you just got to go out there and turn laps to practice. It definitely could be a barn burner with a lot of names that aren't usually up there winning races. I don't want to say not towards the front, but, you know, your top 5 drivers, even your top 10 drivers could absolutely be up there getting the win today.
Yeah, taking a look here at some of the names that we have in play. That includes Ted Burns. He is in the big box. David Porcelli. Oh, going around. He's going to keep going here, but man, that is going to be a slow first lap for David Porcelli. Should get the car basically up to full song, though, by the time he gets to the start-finish line. So maybe not too much harm there, but... First lap in the books for Ted Burns. The out lap for Teddy B, 1 minute 35.789, 137.423 the lap of record for David Porcelli, so it was definitely slow. Some names we're used to seeing in the TNT Shock Series in this one. Brian Labarge is back, Stephen C. Thompson is this one, Nieje Camargo, Ben Carswell also making this show. A lot of effort has been put in by some of these guys because we're running these double headers, and it's starting to show. You're seeing some ratings come up, and more guys and gals are making this race that we're used to seeing pretty often here, James.
Yeah, you love to see it. You know, we've got a lot of talented people in this league, and we spend an obscene amount of time in this car, so I'm happy for everyone that they're starting to be able to show their talents and to show how much they've improved over their time doing this stuff with us, and also the dumbass stuff that really shouldn't teach you anything.
Yeah, D-Class Racing, we've talked about this before, James. Usually D-Class Racing is get me the hell out of here almost as fast as you got out of the rookies. Until you start running races like this with guys like Ted Burns, David Porcelli. Oh man, bunch of fast laps coming in here now as Teddy B goes top of the charts, 91.573 miles per hour.
Yeah, Ted Burns, that little hiccup on the outlap didn't hurt him at all.
Well, that's because he didn't have a hiccup. That was David Porcelli that had the hiccup. But Porcelli's going to be second quick, and he's only a tiny tenth back. How about Shoma Shintani going fast lap? 1 minute 28.827.
By a lot.
By quite a bit. Shintani, a D-Class 3.38 license, 2593 iRating, just stole the pole away from a 67.19 and a 63.72 iRating. I love it. Let's pick up Shoma Shintani. I will get your name right eventually, I promise.
You know what this reminds me of? Remember when we ran here back in 2021 and we had that one Dutch driver that we've never seen before get the just absolutely battle brake sights all the way until the last lap?
Yep. Wow, that was a heater for David Porcelli, over 92 miles an hour, 128.666. That lap was quick. Bring up Shintani for the conclusion of lap number 2. Ted Burns, 98 thousandths of a second back. Shintani, lap number 2 is quick time, 128.575, 92.180 miles per hour. My goodness, that lap was a rocket. Let's pick up Albert McLaughlin, the last of the cars that will likely get a time in here in qualifications. Coming around to complete lap number 1. Albert will still have another lap to go. Also, let's see if we can't find, well, Nagisa Yoshikawa just finishing up his qualification run. Nagisa gonna roll off here in the 6th position. Nieje Camargo in the 9th position, also still out on the racetrack. Jesse Hodgson not setting a lap in qualifying. I wonder if he knows what he's in for. And I'll tell you what here, Bizzle, this livery for Albert McLaughlin is giving me some pretty intense throwback kart livery vibes.
Yeah, that almost looks like a Rainer.
It almost looks like a Bobby Rahal scheme from like 1986. Based on the Red Roof Inns logo over the the engine cover. And the kind of throwback Valvoline logo up towards the front.
Yeah, that is definitely a Rahal scheme. It's freaking awesome.
Seeing an interesting comment here in the TNT Discord. I will not say who, but the question was asked, anyone else notice how we're basically back to the pre-combined schedule participation? Yes, in some respects.
I think possibly a lot of it has to do with the fact that it was only a couple of weeks since we ran these tracks we ran these tracks within the last 3 weeks of last season. So to be getting USA and Okayama again this early, I think is messing with things a little bit. I think things will probably be better next week.
Yeah, it's almost like, and I understand the logic of the schedule swaps and keeping some of the free tracks on here, but you got to kind of split them up a little bit. If you're going to run them back-to-back seasons, you kind of have to run them in the back-to-back positions as well, at least later in the season. I think that's going to be important here as these things develop. But this is something that, quite frankly, we're only into the second season of this experiment. Some cars already starting to get out onto the grid, and, well, quite frankly, it's going to happen pretty quickly because there are no setup changes to make to these race cars. So let's bring up your starting grid for tonight's race. Shoma Shintani on the pole with a lap time of 92.180 miles per hour. Just a tick over 1 minute 28 and a half seconds. 91 thousandths of a second back in second place will be our runner-up finisher from the Indy Pro race, David Porcelli. Ted Burns, your race winner just a few minutes ago, going to line up third alongside Rod Eskew in car number 4. Good qualifying run there for Rod to put that car inside the top 4. Row number 3 will have Brian Labarge lining up alongside T. Watson Racing's Nagisa Yoshikawa. 4th row, oh, I love the livery. Mike Holler and Vincent Polidori in an absolutely cow-themed car. That is a thing of beauty. Row 5, the AJ Camargo.
Why was that so good?
And Stephen C. Thompson. Holy crap. Row number 6 will be Ben Carswell and Jesse Hodgson. Albert McLaughlin going to wind up the field. Pace car is in, and I'll tell you what, man, Ted Burns wants to go. Shintani finally grabs the gas midpoint of the corner. We're underway. What a start by Shintani. That was beautiful.
Hey Chris, I don't think we need a soundboard. I think we could just bring James in to make the animal noises of like the farm animals for like random parts of the broadcast.
I'm not completely against that. Wow, Rod Eskew dropping back a little bit on the start. He did not get shot out of a cannon here. Top 3 single file. Everybody else going to be single file. James, you've driven these cars more than I have. What is that draft range that these guys are going to, this now second pack, is going to have to stay in if they want to get caught up?
Yeah, you have to worry about the momentum a fair amount in this car. It's not that bad, but you definitely got to worry.
Oh, my collar goes around! Wow, how did Holler not wad up everybody? Oh, then he goes almost goes around again. Contact with the AJ Camargo. I think Holler may have gotten away with it. Let's get back up to the front of the field here because this battle for second is going to be fantastic. And then let's pull up the Hot Shoe Racewear instant replay here in just a moment and see what happened to Mike Holler. It actually started with, I believe, Brian Labarge just being a little bit early on the throttle, or on the brakes, I should say. Here we go. Let's
throttle makes you go forward, brakes make you slow
down.
That
is correct. Let's bring up the side-by-side here. Take a look at this one. Labarge gets on the brakes. Holler really has to take evasive action. Just a tiny bit too much throttle, slight bit of contact, but that was really it. However, the festivities were not over yet as Holler almost goes around, makes contact with Camargo. That's going to put Nieje off the racetrack. A whole lot going on here early. Mike Holler back to the 7th position. As Burns looking inside of Porcelli. We've seen this once before. Porcelli able to hang with him, though. He's able to stay inside.
Whoa.
Oh, man, maybe not. Wow. And I'll tell you what, for the lack of the, I mean, there was definitely contact between Mike Holler and Nagisa Yoshikawa. You can see Yoshikawa, he's not that far back off of Porcelli and Burns at this point.
No, that's crazy. Like, these wings are pretty flimsy, so the fact that he was able to get by and without any issues, really.
Shoma Shintani going new fastest lap of the race, actually faster than what he did in qualifying, but Patrick, that's not really a surprise in these cars because qualifying, you barely get the tires up to temperature. Get 3, 4, 5 laps in, and now you're really in the sweet spot for these cars.
Yeah, the tires for these cars, they don't come in for at least 3 laps. Especially on the ovals, we notice it. About your 8th or 9th lap is usually the fastest lap. It's really interesting how that works because with a lot of the stock car stuff, usually it's your first lap that's the fastest, and you kind of just run the second in case you smack the wall or something on your first lap. These things, it's totally different animal.
Let's go on board here with David. Oh, a little bit of a bobble from Teddy B. Porcelli able to swing past. Swap it up now. Let's go on board with Ted Burns as he's going to be the car that's on the hunt. And all of this battling is making Shoma Shintani smile there at the front, as the gap is now out to 1.3 seconds, although ticking inside of 1.2 at the midpoint of the corner. These two, James, I would imagine, will be able to try to utilize the draft at least a little bit to make up some of that ground.
A little bit, but man, like, they're pretty even on pace. Like, I don't know how much realistically it's gonna work. I mean, they're starting to reel him in a tad, but it's gonna take some incredible teamwork, so to speak, for them to make it back up. Especially with him running such great times, they might be in need of mistake territory.
Yeah, especially if they're only going to be able to get this close to each other. It's almost like you have to be really tucked up underneath each other if you're going to try to make that work. I'll tell you what, though, they've got the gap down to 1.1. Now it opens back up to 1.2. Taking a look at the official overall point standings for this one. Actually going to be Alon Day leading the overall championship here over Antonio Gagliasso from the UK and Ireland. Carter Lundy third overall in points, and he has not scored yet here for week 3. Cody Hundley fourth, Brian Labarge fifth, Rod Eskew in sixth, Nicholas Daly 7th, Franco Carnero in the 8th position, Pedro Ferreira and Ruben Chacha rounding out the top 10. How about Rod Eskew going to work here on Brian Labarge? A little bit off the racetrack for Rod Eskew. Something I'm noticing about our graphics package, the way iRacing generates the images, it only gives us the paint scheme, not the spec map that's on the car. So Brian Labarge's car in the graphics looks black and white. However, that is an absolutely stunning chrome livery all over the back half of that race car.
It almost reminds me of the McLarens. I know it's not the same scheme as the McLarens, but just that like crazy chrome they were doing in the mid-2000s. Freaking awesome.
Yeah, Darrell Waltrip running the Western Auto car that he had chromed off at one point. And NASCAR made him tone it down because it was causing weird sun reflections in drivers' eyes. Not really something that we have to battle with a ton here on the iRacing platform, but I'll tell you what, boys, don't look now. David Porcelli just went fastest lap of the race, and now he is making up considerable ground on Shoma Shintani for the race lead.
He just loaded griphacks.exe, and he's getting ready to get fired up to go and make a pass for this lead.
Let's not go there with what's going on in the world of F1 esports.
Ah, right. He's using not grip hacks. He's using arrow hacks instead of grip hacks.
I think the F1 guys are using all of the above for their.
Well, I mean, it's F1.
But are they using the grass?
No, cows use the grass.
Ask and ye shall receive. There he is. Vincent Polidori, currently running shotgun on the field after an early incident in this race. We'll
you know what? He made top split, and he's in a cow scheme, so it's not really that bad of a day.
No. You made the broadcast, and you made James Watson moo in an uncannily realistic way.
Can you do a deer noise? I've never heard a deer in person, but I've seen videos and they're weird. And being like a kid from New York, like right outside of New York City, I never knew like what a deer noise made until I was like 20.
What is this? What does the fox say? I grew up in California. What makes you think I know? I grew up outside of San Francisco.
Okay, but what does the fox say?
I don't know. It depends on which chorus of the song we're talking about. It could be going... Why do I still remember that song? I haven't even watched that video in like almost 10 years. Why do I remember it?
So glad Discord did not pick that up.
I was just going to say, my finger was on the trigger, ready to silence him. Down to 4 laps to go. Yes. David Porcelli has made up the gap to Shoma Shintani. Ted Burns, maybe not so much. That gap's sitting at 1.8 seconds. But you can't say Teddy B is out of this one yet, because if these two go to battling at the front, all bets are absolutely off at that point.
Yeah, Shintani, you can see him. He's getting a little bit into the sand, a little bit into the grass, running a bit wide, and trying to take every opportunity he can get to make this track wider. Not really working for him, though, as David Porcelli is really right on his back bumper now.
Yeah, same can't be said for Ted Burns. That gap is now over 2 seconds. It's going to take 2 laps of side-by-side racing, quite frankly, for that to be what happens. Oh, man, great battle here as well. Eskew and Labarge continue to fight. Big lockup on corner entry for Rod Eskew. He is going to be able to come past. Oh, grabs a little grass. That's going to let Labarge come right back up. The battle for the lead is hot and heavy, too. Yeah, these are just 2 absolutely fantastic fights going on here. As we are down to 2 laps to go. Let's take a look here, seeing if, well, before our setup absolutely grenaded on us here, we do have full championship standings that we can give to you for the broadcast championship. Oh man, but Porcelli is going to be right there. God, this battle is so good. Now it's down to 1.7 seconds, back to Ted Burns. He is gaining. In USF2000, Carter Lundy has an 8-point lead over Nicholas Daly. Ben Carswell actually sitting third. Oh, there's contact!
Oh, there's contact!
Wow.
And now Ted Burns is to 1.3 seconds. Is Porcelli just too far back now?
Shintani's in the dirt, he gets out of it. Porcelli's going to catch him here. He was not in the dirt, and he's going to have the draft.
At a minimum, he's at least going to catch him one more time before this lap is over.
Honestly,
Shintani,
it's going to matter how he gets through this section. If he can get right on him coming out of the hairpin down the long straightaway, he might have him. If he's not close enough, then I don't think he'll be able to pull it off. It's just not very conducive to passing in the last sector, but we'll see. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be close enough unless he sends it.
You say that now, James. It's at 3 Teds. It's now at 2 Teds.
Oh, are we going to get the send? We're not going to get the send.
No, we're not going to get the send, but the question is, are we going to get something out of this switchback here? Porcelli is going to be very close, and he's going to have one more straightaway to try something into that final corner. This is going to be tight. Much cleaner line through the corner that time for Porcelli. Down the short little blast. Through the final corner for the final time. Twin checkers will go in the air.
Will it be a drag race?
Shintani way down, covers the inside. Did he give up too much? No. Shoma Shintani picks up the win and immediately is gone. I'm out of here. David Porcelli pulling off the racetrack as well. There's a look at Ted Burns, your third place finisher here tonight. Nagisa Yoshikawa coming home fourth. Rod Eskew in the 5th position. 6th will belong to Brian Labarge in 6th. 7th is Stephen C. Thompson. 8th, Mike Holler. Coming across the line, there's that Bud Livery 13 of Albert McLaughlin. The AJ Camargo finishing up his race, and Ben Carswell out of the points here at Okayama. There's Teddy B, your third place finisher. He gets himself cleared out of the way. So we will get ourselves ready here for some Victory Lane interviews. I am fairly certain we will not have our race winner tonight.
He is not in the Discord.
Yeah, he is not in the Discord, so we can't even ping him.
If he stumbles upon this video,
yes,
whether it's posted in the forums or wherever, discord.gg/TNT Racing, get you right in, and you can be interviewed. And be in the greatest community in all of iRacing when it comes to the open wheel side.
That is correct. I will give you that one. What's that, James?
I didn't say anything.
It sounded like you were, I guess it was iRacing that was making the fox noises here. All right, let's get ready for our instant replays and our Victory Lane interviews here, and we will start things off with our runner-up here tonight, Mr. David Porcelli. And, man, I'll tell you what, David, you gave Shoma absolutely everything he could possibly handle over those last couple of laps. And before that, you had a great battle with Ted. That race had to just be a lot of fun.
Yeah, these series are just a blast, and that's why I keep coming back. The battles are phenomenal. The cars lend themselves to close racing, so I'm always excited to put on a good show like that.
Yeah, it looked like you and Ted were starting to make up some ground on Shoma, and then it really was one of those, like, all of a sudden you were there and Ted wasn't. Talk us through what happened there, because I kind of figured, especially if you and Shoma got battling, it was going to be a 3-car fight for the win.
Yeah, Shoma had some strong pace. I really had to hit my marks in order to get up under him, and I think Ted just wasn't doing that. I don't think he was keeping it too clean. These cars are, specifically the USF2000, you make a mistake, you pay for it. You know, the races are so short, you can't really make up for any errors that you make unless they happen on like lap 1 or 2. So I just think Ted wasn't stringing together very, very strong laps, and that was enough for me to break away from him.
Yeah, that's we describe these cars as momentum machines quite often, and that's exactly what they are. Great job tonight, able to come home with 2 second-place finishes, I guess it was.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, great run in both of these shows here tonight. Congratulations on the pair of podiums, and before we let you go, do all those sponsor plugs and thank yous.
Shout out to Racecraft 1 Indianapolis, thanks to Team Watson Racing and Satellite Racing, and to National Racing Network for a doubleheader broadcast. And look, I got to see you in both interviews, finally.
I know. Yes, you got to the point. You got to the point where we're able to talk to you twice in a night. David, congratulations. Thank you much for coming to hang out with us here for a minute. And now it's time to bring up our 3rd place finisher, Ted Burns. And I'll tell you what, Ted, the livery is as spectacular on this car as it is on the Indy Pro car. Ultimately, just tiny little bits of momentum loss, I think, was really the difference here. It is just so hard. You have to be so spot on. Otherwise, you just give up a ton of top-end speed.
Yeah, for sure. I think you said it right there. It was just a couple little small mistakes for me, pushing a little bit too hard on the cold tires, and just either sliding the car a little bit or just running a little far off the track, bottoming it out, and that was a difference maker today. And so it's my first time this season going from the Indy Pro into the USF. So I guess I was used to a little bit more downforce, and I just didn't quite adapt as quickly as the others. So that was a difference maker tonight.
Yeah, that's the big change from last season. Now, obviously, the cars are still running on the odd hours, but for the broadcast races, you got to go, instead of going from USF to Indy Pro, you're going from Indy Pro to USF. How big of a difference is that going from the quicker car, more downforce, more power, to less downforce, less power, and quite frankly, more accuracy being required?
Yeah, for sure. It's the USF is typically run quite a bit lower to the ground, so it's much more susceptible to the curb strikes and stuff. So it's all about being smooth and very precise with it to get the maximum out of it. And when you come from driving something like the Indy Pro, which has that little bit more downforce and personalized setup, it's a little bit more, you're a little bit more in tune with that car. So when you have to go and then adapt to the iRacing setup and just be that little bit more precise with a car that doesn't quite do what you want it to, it just makes that a little bit trickier. And that was a difference tonight. So props to David and Shoma for figuring that out. They drove a great race, and were mostly mistake free. But I made a few more mistakes than them, and that was a difference.
All right, buddy. Well, congratulations on the win and the third win in the 3rd place here tonight. Congratulations on both of those. And before we let you go, do all the sponsor plugs and thank yous.
Yeah, of course. Got to thank Downforce Racing for helping out with practice setups all week. Thank you guys for putting on such an awesome broadcast. Can't wait to go back and rewatch that here. And thanks for everyone coming out, making this such a great series. So much fun to run, and hopefully see you guys back here the next couple of weeks.
All right, buddy. We're looking forward to that. Thank you very much for coming to hang out with us here. And man, I'll tell you what, James, I've got to say, we kind of got everything we were looking for out of these races tonight. I did not see Shoma Shintani being a name that I would have to learn, but my God, was that guy quick.
Yeah, it's crazy. We've never seen him before. Shows up, dominates, refuses to elaborate further, and leaves. Good on him, though. It was a hell of a battle between him and David at the end.
Yeah, he was like, I'm out of here. I got nothing left for you guys. I'm not playing. I'm not screwing around. Man, but I'll tell you what, it was just an absolutely fantastic show we got here tonight out of the U.S. Open Wheel D-Class cars of the USF2000 Championship. Patrick, I don't think, is going to be back in the booth with us here to wrap things up. But looking ahead on the schedule here, we have upcoming next week, we head off to Road America. Oh, my God. One of my favorite stops every season. I know some of the guys hate it. I want to see Road America and Spa every season because they're just absolutely incredible races to broadcast. I know they get boring, but my God, are the races fun.
Yeah, sorry, a bit of technical difficulties. Yeah, I don't think we've ever had a race that wasn't an absolute barn burner at either track. You know, we love to make jokes about we see those tracks all the time, but like this is one of the few times where we're okay with seeing it all the time.
Yeah, and then week number 5, we head off to Brands Hatch and the Indy layout, which is just going to be spectacular. Week 6, I might take off. I don't know. We'll let somebody do this because we're heading off to the Nürburgring, the Industriefahrten. Going to do the full 47 million corners and 30,000 miles of the green hell.
Gesundheit.
Yeah. Rounding out the season here, heading off to Watkins Glen. Suzuka makes a return appearance. I don't know why. Long Beach, VIR, Gateway, and Alton Park to round out the schedule. Alton Park is going to be a fun one as well. Actually, quite frankly, VIR and Gateway are fantastic for all these cars too. But with that, I think, James, we should probably get the heck on out of here. Get ready to kick off the weekend. Tomorrow, keep your eye out, possibly 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It will be the Camel GT Happy Hour. I can't wait. I absolutely love those cars.
Yes, sir.
They have been a fun show to put on the air. And then we're back next week with kind of the regular drill. Monday night will be the Silver Crowns, followed by TNT Shock Series on Tuesday night. Wednesday will be the Sim Racers Club, and then we will be back with the full doubleheader. Unfortunately, the technical issues that started last night continued into this afternoon. Didn't let us get the Lotus 79s or Lotus 49s on the air. We'll get you recaps of those at some point during the week as well, but those guys will be back Thursday afternoon. Then we're right back here Thursday night for U.S. Open Wheel C and D Class Racing coming to you from Road America. For James Watson and everybody here at the National Racing Network that makes all these shows happen, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us. We will talk to you all soon. See you later, everybody.